This has been a very interesting ban list, and we need to talk about what this tier list looks like after this ban list. This is going to be super interesting. I think the format has been balanced out completely, taking down the best deck and turning it into a more fair version of itself. And we have a lot to break down here today. Before we do that, we're on the way to 10K, so leave a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe if you are new, and let's dive right into it. I wanted to make this tier list also for myself and for my viewers, of course, for you guys, to get some things in order and look at the format, look at all the decks holistically, because there's a lot of decks and there is a lot of room at the top, and I think that we had a pretty varied format last format, and now it's going to be even more varied because the power level has been really balanced between all decks. So I think it's going to be really cool to look at. We're starting off with Branded, and I think Branded is going to be at the top contenders. And top contenders, I'm not going to make it into a tier 1, 1.5, 2, 3. I don't like this sort of like, very dogmatic or pragmatic way of separation. I think that top contenders are the decks to beat in a format, but usually there's only one best deck, so I kept it at the best deck. Branded was not hit at all. It suffered a very minor hit, and everything else is a 3 at the moment. The deck has a lot of power and has a lot of new support that is making the deck extremely strong. I think that even without consistently being able to gimmick puppet things, your extra deck is now a lot safer, and you don't have a lot of the matchups with like a ton of negates and super heavy samurai that you can't really break those boards. So you can build your deck exactly the way you want, not play 2 Dragoon or some crap like that, and still be able to win tournaments. I think that Branded suffers from Ash, of course, but there's Crossout. I think this deck is, hopefully an unbiased opinion, is that this deck is very good right now. I'm not going to put it at the best deck, though. Dragons has a lot of variations. There's Bestial Control, and there's also, Dragon Link, of course, and there's some things in between. There's like Apple Dragon, Synchro, stuff like that. I think it has good potential. This tier are decks that are probably like tier 2, but I see some potential in as the format evolves. I think Dragons are very solid. We're not really hit at all, except for maybe Gamma. Gamma is a kind of a hit to Dragon Link, but it's a fair and good hit. I think that Dragons could see some potential and could take some wins home, to be honest. Then we have Rika. I think Rika is always like this weird sleeper deck. It has a lot of power. Right now, as I'm recording this, Jessica Robinson, or Robertson, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, is like undefeated in day 1 in UK Nationals with this deck. The whole plant gang over in the UK. This deck is solid. This deck can do some nice stuff. It should probably have more potential than Dragons. It was not hit at all. No hits whatsoever. All the floodgates are still alive. This deck should have potential. Labyrinth is, I'm going to put it above Branded at the moment. I think this deck is very strong. The IKEA version with the furniture is a very consistent and very almost like a combo trap deck. It's very scary at the moment, and I think that right now Labyrinth is in a very good spot. Was not hit at all. I was expecting maybe a hit. I was hoping for a hit to Prosperity, which did not happen. Which means that Labyrinth, except for maybe a pointer, which I've never seen, it makes sense they would play it, but they can still rip cards out of your hand without a pointer anyway. Labyrinth is untouched, and it's a very strong deck. I think that the room at the top is like very balanced, in my opinion, and we're gonna see that. I think Labyrinth is extremely good. Yeah. I think Mathmic is, I kind of don't want to kill the deck, but also I don't want to respect the deck either, because now with like no Gamma and 1 circular, it might not do as much. And I think that it's a good thing, because that deck, I didn't really like that playstyle of a deck. Right now, you cannot protect your searches with like gamma anymore. You can't protect your signet mining as you're digging for this card. You only have one copy, so Small World might become a little bit less impactful, right? If you get rid of it, you know, the combo is very fragile right now. They still have access code OTK. All Cybers decks are going to have that, but it's probably Rogue. I'm going to be hopeful for Striker. It could have some good potential. The deck is very consistent. It has to engage. I really want to see this deck play. Unfortunately, there's Kashra in the format, which we're going to talk about. It's going to be a little bit hard to beat. Also, matchups like Branded and Labyrinth might not be as easy for Striker, but I do want to see the potential in this deck. I think that they knew what they were doing when they released Engage to 2 and Multi-Roll to 3, because they have confidence that the deck is not going to do that well in this environment. Last time it had that much power, you know, none of these decks were even in existence. I'm hoping. Super Heavy Samurai is going to be an engine from now on, and I'm really happy for that. We're not going to have to play... I mean, you could play Droll right now, but we're going to talk about it in terms of Kashra. It's going to be an engine. It's going to be really interesting to see if people start implementing the new engine with like the bike and Wakashi into actual decks and not like super heavy pure decks. I think it's really good. Yeah, I'm hoping to see it do well in some other strategy, but you know, the deck itself wasn't cool at all in my opinion. I'm gonna put Sword Soul here. Maybe we're gonna see some Denglong stuff, but it's like a power crap deck at this point. It doesn't feel really good. Maybe it could have like very low potential because of Denglong and the fact that the format is just open. And Pearly, you know, might be like, in terms of a deck, it might sort of be here. Delicious is a very substantial hit for this deck. Plump is gonna be harder to set up, which means that it's gonna be harder to get to a towers. And this is what the deck does. The deck is a towers turbo deck with like control variants. It's not really like really cohesive strategy. And now where you have one Delicious, it's going to be much harder to get to. And overall, just, you know, you need to be lucky. It's going to be Saki, which is unfortunate. But we'll see. Sprite. Sprite should have a top contender ability. It's not really hit. It has a lot of power. It has most of its cards. Combining it with Live Twin and Runic should have, like, you know, good potential together. I'm going to sort of group the two because there's no, like, Runic Naturia is something else right now. These should have top contender ability, and that's great, in my opinion. Sprite is a good, healthy deck. It's a deck that I want to see more of that playstyle in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I enjoy playing against this deck. Same thing with Runic, a very small hit, which doesn't do anything. Sort of like Zeus to 1 kind of situation, or like shooting Riser Dragon to 1. You only play 2 Fountain. Like, this is the broken card. Like, Tip should be a 1, but we'll get to that maybe next ban list. These should be a healthy, good top contender. I don't see, like, Trap Tricks is probably the best of the Rogue. It's a good deck. It's a cool deck, but it's not a powerful deck. It doesn't do enough. I'm just going to leave it at that. Kashra is going to be the best deck, in my opinion, still, but it's going to be much more fair and much more manageable. You're not going to have to change your deck around to mitigate Diablosis. That's great. They got rid of the problem. In my opinion, that's great. It's still going to be a very powerful deck, but the playstyle is going to be different. It's going to allow for more hand traps now. It's going to allow for more interaction. And you're not going to get your zones blocked like you did before, which is amazing. I'm really excited to play against Kashra in the new format. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I think it's going to be a top contender, and maybe it's going to be like a little bit more flattened out, right? Because Kashra is a lot more fair and manageable right now. But still, I'm going to put it at the best deck because it is the best deck. It's a tier of its own. It's not tier 0, but it is the best deck in my opinion. And then Naturia is probably going to be here. right? Naturia Runic. There's not much to say there, right? It was a nice, cool deck before, but now like it's lost its old card spam ability, and it doesn't have that now, which is good. I think we're gonna wrap this list up right here. Leave your thoughts down below on the format. Are you excited for this? I know personally I am. I'm really looking forward to playing in this format. Branded, still full power. There's a lot of different, like Sprite, Labyrinth, Kashra. Those are so different in how they play in Branded. Like if this is how the top looks like, that's great. And a lot of new up and coming decks that could have potential and surprise. I'm really hopeful. This looks great in my opinion. Leave your thoughts down below. Like the video, and of course subscribe. We're on the way to 10K. We're almost there. We're gonna get there in a minute. Love you guys. See you later. Peace.